Many of the candidates laid out some detail on their tax plans last night. During the first debate, our Trish Regan asked former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to outline his tax policy.
Americans under your plan would pay a tax on every single thing that they purchased. Given that consumer spending accounts for 2/3 of GDP, some economists worry that your tax plan would actually discourage spending, thereby slowing our economy. How do you respond?
Well, first of all, do you know an American that'll just stop spending? I don't. No, that's not going to be the problem. Look, Americans will go to the marketplace with more money they've ever had. For the first time, they'll be having their whole paycheck.
That was a great answer. GOP presidential candidate Mike Huckabee joins us right now. Congratulations to you, Governor. Good to see you.
Thanks. It was a great debate, substantive, and I thought that the moderators in Fox Business acquitted itself beautifully and kind of made the whole debate process once again about the issues and the candidates. And it was a big step forward, not just for those of us on the stage, but for the people of America who are looking to see who could be the next president.
Yeah, and I think that was a really good answer that you gave, Trish, as far as spending. But that is what we tried to do, sticking to the issues. Why don't you give us the most important parts of your tax plan?
Well, under the fair tax, you eliminate all of the taxes on productivity. So you don't punish the people who are working, saving, investing.
Right.
You zero that tax. What happens if $32 trillion that's parked offshore comes to America? Do you think that'll goose the economy? I mean, my gosh, you could put it on the floor under a mattress and it would do some economic benefit. But the bigger picture is the things that it will do. It takes away this penalty that American manufacturers have. Right now, if you make something in America, 22% of the cost embedded in the price is the tax on capital and labor. Remove that, and we now are competitive to manufacture with other countries. We deal with the immigration issue with the fair tax because no longer are you creating an economic incentive for both the employee and the employer who can underpay by not paying the payroll tax. We never talk about that. It's a powerful tool. The biggest thing is, though, that it unleashes the economy in a level of growth unforeseen in American history, because for the first time, we're actually going to be rewarding the people who produce something or who work for something. And by the way, this is not a let's help the rich people. If a guy works in a factory for 8 hours and he wants to do better for himself, so he works 16 and puts in a double shift, he doesn't get his double paycheck because the government will put him in a new tax bracket and the government will get more of his second shift than he will. So it really creates the incentive for hard work like we've never had before, gives people the chance to move up.
Governor, you know, it's interesting, your tax plan, I and others who were at the barbecue and met you actually came up and said, you know, I'm going to actually zero in and try to figure out exactly what he's talking about, because your tax plan is obviously quite different than anyone else's. And what I think you've done is you've triggered another tool in the toolbox, another ability to have another idea out there that makes sense and is completely different than what the Democrats are proposing.
Well, and I wish I could claim credit for it. Look, I'm not the chemist, I'm just the pharmacist. I'm dispensing the medicine somebody else made.
Okay, you do a good job.
But there was over $22 million of research that went into the development of the fair tax. And it is a flat tax. But the great thing, I hear other candidates say they can get rid of the IRS. You can't unless you get rid of taxing people's income. So you're still going to have the government agency saying, how much did you make? How did you make it? Let's take a look at it. With the fair tax, you truly do eliminate it. It's a windfall to states and to merchants because they get a basis point for collecting the tax at the point of consumption. And frankly, I wish I had thought of it. I wish I could say I'm smart enough to come up with it. But some of the top economists in the country were the ones who really designed it with no pretense of what they had to come up with. And that's one of the reasons that I became a strong believer in the economic engine that the fair tax would create.
As an economist, I can tell you it's a fabulous plan. It would be like rocket fuel for the economy. We've talked about this many times.
But how much does it cost? I mean, let's talk about the cost of this. We were just talking about debt and deficits.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't cost. It explodes the economy. We spend $500 billion a year in tax compliance. All across America, $500 billion a year we spend just to comply with the tax code. That disappears because you're not complying with the tax code. Think about what happens when that investment income comes back in. And think what happens when people go to the marketplace with their entire paycheck. And we also stabilize the funding for Social Security and Medicare, which is only funded now by a payroll tax. Fewer and fewer people are working for wages. So that money is going down. Now you stabilize the funding.
So how do you get it through Congress? How do you get it through Congress?
It will never happen without a president who can lead it, explain it, sell it, and make it happen.
Actually,
Mark. Go ahead.
I thought in that first debate, which I thought was a great debate,
it was
by
a great
the way,
debate.
really good.
Yeah, I want to get into
and
that.
And I thought I thought it was you and Christie both knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And so I want to say this: so you weren't on the big stage, and the big point of contention was this issue about what are we going to do about these 11 million illegal immigrants?
That's right.
And Trump, said deport them, and then I wonder where you stand on that issue, and what do we do about this immigration
Stephen,
issue?
we have to secure the border. We have to take the economic advantage out of the illegal immigration equation, which is what I think the fair tax does. But securing the border means do what we did in San Diego 20 years ago with a double fence, add the personnel and the electronic surveillance. It cut the apprehensions by 95%, and crime in San Diego, violent crime, went down 54%. So we know what works. Let's do it. And as far as the 11 million, I don't believe in amnesty, but neither do I believe in trying to pretend we're going to fix that until we first show Americans that we're serious about securing the border.
Well, you can't just get them and ship them out. I mean, let's talk about that.
No, I don't think that's realistic.
It's not realistic,
no,
right?
But neither can you just say, hey, everything's cool, we're fine, and we're not going to make you pay a fine.
Paying a penalty or
sure, I think that's part of the deal. You have to have a penalty. There's got to be some kind of process. And here's the other piece of that. Fix the system so that when people do want to immigrate here legally, it doesn't take 18 years and thousands of dollars worth of paperwork.
Yeah, and here's the key. Do not allow them to get any of the federal benefits and perks during that whole process.
Well, that's a really important point.
That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Immigration, yes, welfare, no.
There you go.
Governor, good to see you.
Thank you very much.
We'll
Great
be watching
to see
the
you guys.
developments. Thank you so much.